This is Screendivers. On this week's episode, we'll be talking about Hundreds of Beavers. Came out in 2022 and it's directed by Mike Cheslik, written by Mike Cheslik, produced by Kurt Ravenwood, Matt Subjak, Ryland Tews, and Sam Ogerton. This movie was made for $150,000 and it grossed past $1 million. That's an achievement. It has a running time of 108 minutes. It was distributed by Cineverse and Vinegar Syndrome, and it is now available on video on demand, and you should seek it. How are you, Ricky?
I am good. How are you, Umba?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Steve?
I'm great, other than a club foot.
Yeah. How are you, Leyla?
Hey, guest!
Thank you. I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, actually. On this week's episode, we have a special guest. We have a film critic that works for Warner Brothers. Holy shit. This is one of Steve's friends, and credit goes to Leyla for picking this movie. And let's get this out of the way immediately. I haven't seen this before. I heard about it. I don't think Steve has seen it either.
No,
Ricky?
I hadn't seen it before.
No, I only heard about it, and I was trying my hardest to get a copy of it, but it's very hard to get a copy of this film out in Australia until now.
Okay, because for a moment I was like, so you didn't watch it? Like,
No, I decided to do this podcast, not watching the film. That's fine.
Okay, so Leyla, I mean it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. That's what I'm telling everyone. I tell them, watch this thing, and then people are like, what the fuck is this? They watch it, and they're like, thank you, and all I got to say is like, you're fucking welcome.
I'm going to tell you, though, the first 10 minutes, there was a lot of, I had this circling in my head. It's like, what the fuck is this? As in,
I think we all might have experienced that for the first 10 minutes.
But it's, 10 minutes, and it just drags you in. And you're into that world. You speak that language all of a sudden.
I was missing a lot of my party days back when, during the first 10 minutes.
I wish I watched that on mushrooms, dude. Because this would have been fucking great on mushrooms. I mean, it was good anyway, but... Hey, an important question must be asked. Ricky, what's this movie about?
This is a historical reenactment of Elmer Fudd.
AKA the Revenant for furries.
I was
going to make that joke.
Oh, there you go. I was going to make
It's so good.
say something like, you guys said that you were going to do a hardcore XXX pornographic film, and it turned out to be a Looney Tunes feature. God damn you.
Man, this movie is an onslaught of tributes to video games. It is there's two tributes to GIFs. Yeah. To memified GIFs. There's an actual, you know the GIF of Robert Redford from Jeremiah Johnson when he nods at you?
Do you mean GIF?
Huh?
Yeah. Do you mean GIF?
No,
what do you mean?
Shut up.
Dude. Are you for real? Okay, Ricky, did you just declare that you're in the GIF camp as well? You're in the GIF camp, right? Yeah. Okay, good. That's what we're friends,
I'm a GIF. But I had to make the joke. Come on.
Right. Yeah. And the second one, did you pick up the tribute to the second GIF?
No,
GIF,
go on.
Whatever the fuck. Do you know that clip of, there's a bunch of black kids, something medieval happens, and the reaction, the most common reaction is a bunch of... It's when he frees himself from the cutting table. Yeah. It's just brilliant. But tell me if I'm crazy, right? Let's get this stuff out of the way. You know the sound of the question mark? Is it from Zelda, dude?
Yes.
It is, right? It's from Nintendo. And the maps looking like Chrono Trigger and any other JRPG.
Exactly. But it's not just that. When we look at it, it's the bartering system as well.
Yeah. Dude, did you pick up the few first chords? When he gets to the shop, there are a few chords playing. Do you know what song that is? If you don't, say no, and I'll tell you.
Not off the top of my head.
It's fucking I don't want to set the world on fire by the Ink Spots from Fallout. And I played it, and it's not the same song, but the initial chords are that, and it plays every time he goes to the store. Every time. Okay. But this movie, man, I was talking to Leyla before. We're doing a quick tech test. and she. Can I say it publicly, Leyla? I don't know if you're going to lose some credit or gain it. Can I tell people what you told me? Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So Leyla claimed to have done something on a dare, and I don't know if she was proud of this, or if it was like she was trying to impress me with her toughness and endurance. Because
no, it was an example of how rampant my ADHD is.
There you go. On a dare, she told me she's watched Infinity Wars 100 times. Endgame.
Yeah. I know this.
Yeah,
I followed her
because you're demented, because you like Marvel movies to that extent. But I prefer to know the story she told me. Right? She told me that she did it on a dare, and this is it's an endurance feat. That's it.
Yeah.
But ideally, I just forgotten where I was going with this, and I'm going to leave this in the episode.
No worries. Well, I was... Actually, you know what? I want Steve to ask the question, but I'm going to take it over from Steve. I am sorry.
Oh, come on.
Oh, go on
it's
then.
My only
you
question.
ask the question. You ask the question.
So, I've got to say to Leyla first, what was your first experience with this movie?
So, there is something called the Duke Mitchell Film Club.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, and this is, so they used to be a film club that would meet every month. They would have a theme depending on the month. It's two guys, Alex and Evrim, and they sort of have their own stuff that they like. And they love going into video stores or charity shops and finding old videotapes and just seeing what they can find. People send stuff to them. And Evrim curates a big film festival, that name of which escapes me. But it used to be a monthly thing, and then they were sort of we're just going to do an annual event, which is still going. And in 2023, because this has come across Evrim's desk as a curator, a film festival curator, and he was like, I don't fucking like slapstick, but there's something about this. So their structure is they'll be at the Prince Charles Cinema 2 nights, where they do a movie each night, and a mystery trailer reel, and you can just hear them cackling the whole time.
Nice.
And then they'll have 2 other nights, which is them at a pub, where they do Alex versus Evrim. They have a special guest, and they just show weird shit that you're it's that thing. If you have a really fucked up YouTube algorithm in 2010, that's sort of what it's like. And they put this on as the opening at the Prince Charles. I didn't watch any trailers. I didn't know anything. They're just I trust them because I'm insane. So I trust their choices. This movie starts just like you guys had the same thing where the first 10 minutes I was okay, just getting into it, what's going on. I laughed so hard, non-stop for the duration of this film, that I had a lingering headache for several hours later. I will laugh at stuff in the movies, but I've never laughed that hard. It was just non-stop.
Was your face hurting when you came out as well? When you laugh a lot during the movie.
Yes,
your
but
face
I literally had a tension headache. My head hurt from laughing that hard. So it was beyond just your face hurting.
Very nice.
And and I've just forced everyone to watch it since whenever I get the chance.
Did anyone else think of Cannibal the Musical while watching this?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I'm a huge trauma head anyway, and Leyla, the film festival that Duke Fest also appears at is Fright Fest, which is I went to several years of Fright Fest. And this is actually how I first heard about the movie, because on my Facebook, on my Instagram, I'm still connected to Fright Fest, I'm still connected to Duke Mitchell, and all of that stuff. So this is where I heard of Hundreds of Beavers first. And so when they previewed it, or when they previewed it as part of the film festival that they were doing, I was like, oh, okay, this has already been to Fantastic Fest and all that stuff. So it's got to be good, right? And it only took me to this week, which, lo and behold, we're doing Hundreds of Beavers this week, and on SBS over here, it's free. It's one of the free TV streaming services here. They suddenly had Hundreds of Beavers, midweek. So that's where I watched it this week, and I was astounded by how such a low-budget, trauma-esque film this was, and it not being distributed by Trauma. How is this film not being captured by someone like Trauma? But anyway, loved it to bits. But anyway, we'll talk more.
Yes. So again, I'm going to ask Umba, because you must have done the same situation as me last night, watching a movie.
Yeah, so why are you asking me a question when you know the answer? And I'll tell you what, I didn't watch it last night. I watched it this morning. And you know what? I watched it at 4:30 a.m. on 4 cups of coffee. I was fucking hallucinating. I was hallucinating, and at one point, and Anna is hallucinating too. Because for the first 5 to 10 minutes, she was shifting her body left to right. And I at one point I was like, I see what this is doing. But look, this is the most whimsical piece of cinema I've seen since Delicatessen.
Yeah.
That's a very bold statement.
It is.
It is a very bold statement.
There's something about it that it's that you can only get out of a tight budget. You cannot. I mean, you know, before we started recording today, like I didn't know this, right? You're talking to me about optics, but anyway, or hardware. Steve was holding a camera. He goes, "Oh, did you know it was shot with a Panasonic?" Like, yeah, GH5. I know, man. I know. And but the amazing thing, the amazing thing is that you can still. It for a new generation. This is inspiration, and I hope that really hits that target, because you need to have people. You need to have new people coming out that know that they can make something on a tight budget, and it creates a return that eventually will get you into the industry. Because you can do this. You can do this with a bunch of friends, and that's great. But the idea is that this is a business, and if there isn't a return, this is done. It's circled around several. Well, it did all the circuits. I've got the list of all the film festivals that it went around. The only thing is that it took time to find the buyers as well. Yeah. Because ideally, it came out, it was released on the circuit in 2022, but it went to VOD in 2024. And that's not normal by today's standards. By today's standards, everything is so algorithmic and everything's on a schedule that you can get everything done in 6 months. But it's an achievement. Nonetheless, it's a massive achievement. And I spent the first 10 minutes trying to understand the language of this silent movie, because that's what this is. It's a silent movie.
I'm just going to say one thing. It's an almost silent movie.
Yeah, there are 2 words, but they're not uttered in full. One of them is what, and the other one is shit, I think. But it's a tribute. It's a tribute to post-silent movie era as well. Like it's a tribute to the Marx Brothers. It's a tribute to Abbott and Costello. It's a tribute to Charlie Chaplin. It's a tribute to the birth of slapstick. You know, but at the same time, if you look online, these are the accolades that have been given to this. Yeah. However, this movie is a fucking video game. It's a platformer. All of the action pieces, all of the action set pieces are so, but they're joyous. It doesn't feel like it's a gimmick. It feels like a massive tribute to a long gone era. And it's done in there's also tributes to the Aeneids in it, to the Iliads. There's a lot of stuff in here. And I remember what I was going with that bit about what you did on Adair, Leyla.
Yeah.
We were talking about basically the hero's journey. And it's at the core of this movie. It's at the core of this movie. I love the progression of the central character in it. And it's his tactical approach to life, how he goes. But there's one detail in this that look, I've got favorite bits, but it took me from the moment I saw it, it took me like 20 minutes, and then out of context, I just turned around to Anna and I went, oh, the map. All right. So when you look at the trapping circuit, the trapping map of Santa, right, who's the experienced trapper in this, it's very complex. It's very complex. It's super complex. And then when you look, what's the name of our protagonist in here? Is it Jean? Jean Kayak?
Jean Kayak, yeah.
When you look at Jean's map all the way through, it's a circle. It's an oval. It's just, it gets more complex, but everything is like what's the name of that machine that has reactions that are attached to one another? Is it a Rube? Do you remember, guys, we talked about a Rube Goldberg machine. Yeah. There's a lot of that. And when that becomes more complex, we go full on into platformer mode. And all these tropes associated with the way it's shot and with the sounds that are so familiar to us, it was just joyous. But there's also, the map was one of the details, and then the thing that really, I had to take a screenshot. So I'll show it to you, and then we'll describe it to our listeners. Because there are 2 points in this movie where, when you make a movie, you have to set a time and place. And they waited. They took their time. First of all, they waited with a lot of stuff. Like the title of this movie is dropped at the 45-minute mark.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, no.
45 minutes.
Not
No,
45.
No,
45.
It's further.
76.
76.
76.
Because they
Yeah.
start, 33 minutes, they start doing all of the, like, the production of blah, blah, blah. And just as when they're about to say hundreds of beavers, he drops down a hole.
Yeah.
And then you don't see hundreds of beavers until all of the, you are not getting the hand of
when he
my
hunters
daughter.
it, right? With
Yes.
his mouth in it.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. That's 76 minutes.
76 minutes. Oh, shit. All right, okay. Well, but it's even better. Even
I
better.
made a
Okay,
note
so
for that.
You've got notes?
Yeah, I've
You
got
wanna
notes.
read, you want to read your factoid?
1,500 effect shots. There you go.
So fucking
Yeah.
random.
Fuck you.
It fucking stays in.
There's a funny note about the effect shots. So the thing's actually right now, the main star, Ryland, is on tour in the UK and Ireland with Hundreds of Beavers.
Yeah.
They will be back in London again just before Easter. I think it's like the Friday leading up. No, it's on Good Friday, basically, that they're
Yeah.
there. So there's
You
some
know what? We should
jokes
tag
about
him. We should tag him so I can listen to the show.
Yeah, he's on my Facebook.
He will, yeah.
So, yeah. It's
Nothing
good.
but
But he
praise.
But he said, like, with the effect shots, because as far as I recall, it's all Mike Cheslik, the director, who's done all the effect shots. And he says, like, yeah, so we're showing people this movie. And then people come up and says, like, oh, I love how you make all the effect crap on purpose. And he was like, Mike was
shit.
actually really trying his best.
I gotta say, credit goes to Ryland, because I wasn't planning to go to the fucking gym this morning, but he took his shirt off and I went, fuck, I need to go to the gym today. And he is a kicker. So we're given a time and a place, but we're given the place first. It's Michigan area. I assume that he's born and bred there, probably. all right?
Wisconsin.
Yeah, they're from
Michigan.
Wisconsin.
And then the other thing, this movie has the best weight of the mark time I have ever seen. At one point, we see a four-leaf clover, and then next to the four-leaf clover, we get this. And it made me laugh so fucking hard.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's basically what I'm showing to. This is a Talking Heads kind of deal, so we might as well tell you what I'm showing to the camera. Or watch the movie. But ideally, there is a timeline of time passing, and there's. I'll quote them in order, right? Because the first one is Thanksgiving. The second one is a season marker, which is winter. The third one is Christmas. Then we have 1st of Jan, and then the funniest thing, which I clicked on straight away, right after the 1st of Jan, there's a set of dumbbells.
Yeah.
Which is, you gotta go back to the gym.
Good gym.
Yeah.
And then right after that, I think it's Groundhog Day, dude.
I think so.
Because it falls
Yeah.
in the timeline. So there's like there's Groundhog Day, then Valentine's Day, then there's a four-leaf clover, the marking St. Patrick's Day, then we get a flower for spring. Then the next one, I think it's like a carnival of some kind, and then it's Easter. So we actually have watched this movie within its timeline. Because summer isn't, and it's not, it's nowhere to be seen, and it's left out on purpose. Because they actually shot this in the winter, guys. They went, they can spend time in that environment.
2 winters with frostbite.
There you go.
Sitting naked in a tent with a heater, like, as you described. I have a lot of details about what they did because I've been to a few events with them. So
So it's quite amusing because he's torn his meniscus while doing the stunts himself. He's got frostbite on his toes twice, and I mean, like, it's crazy.
He gets hurt in several ways.
Pulled his shoulder as well. So yeah.
I don't think I'm going to whistle for the rest of the week, by the way.
I love how everything ties in so well. So you've got the beta, you've got the omega, and then you've got the alpha, and you've got all those sections all pretty much laid out in the perfect structure. They really thought about this.
Even when it falls into repetition kind of territory, the joke will pay off at some point.
Exactly.
Because the fucking whistling with the bit, I got tired of it after a while. But then it kind of hits again.
Yeah.
It's
there's a point to it. There's a payoff.
a point to it. What is the name of our female protagonist in this?
So her real name,
Olivia Graves.
Graves, yeah.
Yeah.
She's on my
Trapper's daughter.
Yeah, Trapper's
She can
daughter.
spin a pole, man.
Yeah.
Well, she's a professional dancer. She's
don't
on
say.
my she's on my Instagram. Actually,
She's on your Instagram.
she's on my Instagram.
Okay.
She's on your Instagram.
Yeah, she's on my Instagram.
Are you going to listen to this episode?
Yeah,
why have you got a pole
probably
dance on your
will,
Instagram,
yeah.
dude? What's going on here?
Are you inviting her to the stag?
No,
Did you invite her to the stag?
she's a professional actress. She's a
Umba, invite her to the
she's
stag. Do it now.
professional actress. She's done 2 movies, both in
We're going to do
2022.
shots of castor oil, yeah?
Oh, Jesus, no. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you know,
Straight from
do you
a
wa-
beaver's heart.
Do you
Oh
want
my
to?
God.
Do you want to track some beavers?
I gotta say, even the choreography, man, that bar brawl towards the end is pretty fucking funny, and it features my favorite weapon. My favorite weapon in this movie is a stuffed marlin.
Yeah.
That was on the wall. And,
Yeah.
you know, I work with fish. I'm a diver. I fucking want that. My weapon of choice would definitely, if there's a fight, I'll rock up with that marlin, man. Not to mention the fact that it's the first time in the entire piece that we hear that typical Bud Spencer and Terence Hill kind of punching effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the 80s. You remember that? It's all the way
Yeah.
through that.
I
It's
was-
magic. It's whimsical as hell, this movie, man. That's the only, that's the best adjective I can give this movie. Whimsical.
Yeah.
One thing I really love about this movie is the mix of media. I haven't seen so much puppetry done as a side.
Yeah.
You know, most of the times when you see puppetry in movies, it's the main part of the film. But the fact that all these puppets suddenly jump out. I was watching a video where they were talking about the worms in the heart. And it's literally just
The
people's
maggots.
hands. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
people's hands just under the heart, like flicking. To
Really?
An extent that,
Nice.
Yeah, to an extent that when he eats one of the worms, it's just his middle finger going in his mouth and then the puppet coming off. And then his mouth is full of milk, so it goes hum, and it just spurts all out. It's magic. It is too.
I like the very defined personality they gave to creatures as well.
Like, for example, also in extension of the maggots, obviously, when they eventually become flies, and you see, like, 2 flies getting it on, and then a third one is watching them.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's all the little details of all this stuff where it's just, like, the various details. Same thing, I have the point that broke me in the movie. The horse.
It's a guy.
It's a broken
guy who
horse.
plays the horse. It's like, how do I act this? And they just told him, just how do you feel right now? Because this is the role you got for this movie.
Yeah.
Just show us how you feel.
And it was just this thing, and it was just the first time the horse appeared. It was even before the whole, like, mechanics kit.
Great.
But it was the first time the horse appeared, because did that thing. It was like first 10 minutes. Okay, what's this? Okay. You get into it, you start laughing. Then the horse appears, and it was downhill from there. I've seen this a couple of times at the cinema now. Without fail, when the horse appears, you'll hear a couple of people unable to breathe.
Yeah.
Upon leaving the movie, I also remember hearing people going, "It's so dumb." But I couldn't stop laughing. And then the fucking horse. And you hear that every time. It's the fucking horse. And it broke me every time that I've watched it.
I have
it's
to
just
give
the horse.
awards to my favorite puppet. So my award, then we do award season for these creatures, right? I'll tell you, I'll pick 2. One of them is a relationship and the dynamic, and the other one is my favorite puppet in this, like hands down. The fish. The fish is my favorite. It's just so expressive, and it's a fucking piece of wool or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's so expressive. Just the dismissal of the bait, not liking the bait, or wherever he does like the bait. I loved it. But the best relationship in this movie is between the skunk and the frog.
Yes.
Because every time the box is lifted, the skunk is like deer in the headlights, like is being caught, and the frog has no way but to go along with this.
Yeah.
Because the skunk is treating this frog. It's not there to eat it. It's not there to eat it. I can tell you that. He's not there to fuck it either. So I don't know what type of relationship they have. And there's also one scene in which you blink and you miss it, but you catch the frog screaming, and I could not fucking breathe. I could not breathe.
That one as well. The frog screaming because you're just not ready for it. I know that we're saying it now, and someone's going to go watch it. So it's like, how funny can a frog screaming be?
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I just love that section where he's putting the frog in his coat, and you can see the wires with the movements, and it's just like, it's just perfect. This is great.
Yeah.
I love this. It's I would have loved to have watched it
in a theater with people. I did say to you that we should have watched it together this time around, and we didn't do that.
No,
but
no,
you know, in a packed cinema would have been a special experience, really, Layla.
Yeah, it's the thing. If you watch it at home, it's like just be like, have fun with it. Maybe watch it with someone. But like, it's one of those that's like fun to get together as a group. But in a cinema, because I'm physically incapable of laughing as hard since the first time I watched it. I can't laugh that hard watching it again, probably because my subconscious is like, I don't want a headache, don't fucking do it. Yeah. But just being in a cinema and listening to other people like gasping for air and people just laughing, like belly laugh, like for this night, full duration of this film, because that's the other thing about this film. It's like there's so many references, and that's obviously like the texture and everything. That's what makes it work. But on paper, we're just over an hour and 45 minutes long as it is. And it's just gag upon gag upon gag. It's slapstick. I know that they themselves, so it's interesting you mentioned The Revenant, because when they're pitching the film to get investors, because that's why they shot it over 2 winters, they said to him, it's like, okay, so imagine The Revenant, but funny. and that's what it is. But it's you're also watching this, and it's essentially like, again, like Elmer Fudd, historical reenactment of Elmer Fudd, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't work. It shouldn't work to do a 1 hour 45-minute movie with gags and just keep stacking on each other. And a lot of them repeat, but there's a payoff and there's a rhythm to it, and it shouldn't work, but it does.
Some of them, I laughed again. I laughed so hard because I thought, what the fuck? There's a sequence in which the camera is fixed on the countertop of the merchant, who's the father, played by Doug Mancheski, by the way. He should be mentioned. His name should be mentioned because he's pretty good. And the Indian fur trapper was played by Rico. The master trapper was played by Wes Tank. Everyone here gave 100%. Absolutely loved it. But there's a sequence in which, during the exchanges, that this happens several times throughout the movie, because it is like, progressing in a JRPG. In a video game, he keeps going back. And we know this. We know from the moment we see the signage with the trading system, the bartering system that you praised earlier, Steve, we know that he's going to keep going back. So they did that very well as well. The element of repetition is required to get a sense of familiarity when this world is given to you. Even the music, like I said earlier, it's always the same tune that plays when he goes back. But you expect the progression as well. That's what the movie really starts going into video game territory. But there's a sequence where the camera is fixed on the countertop. You just see their hands. But first, he's trying to pick up a coin.
Oh, God, the coin.
And if you've ever played a board game or whatever, he can't pick up the coin. And at one point, you see the hand. This is pure comedy, pure physical comedy. And it's just hands. At one point, you see the merchant's hand just slapping his hand out of the way because he's had enough. And he slams his fist in frustration on the countertop and shows him how to pick up the fucking coin. Yeah. I found that hilarious. There's a lot of beats like this in this movie. There's also a lot of stuff that it's kind of kitsch, but it happens in the first 10 minutes, I think. The first 10 minutes are the ones that... Because it seems to me that this movie does have a psychotropic kind of quality. I don't know if it was the coffee this morning. I said, I would have loved to watch this on mushrooms. No, fuck no. I don't think you'd survive this one on mushrooms. It's not required, but I did feel like I immersed myself into this world. And in my opinion, it would have worked in color as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Because,
I don't know. Because
the over-dramatic quality of black and white, works as an advantage here, but it's because it was shot in lower res. So that's why they did it. I think that's the main reason.
Well, also the director said that it was more forgiving.
But it would have been a very monochromatic landscape, dude, because it is snowy. Like you got high contrast.
From the I've watched a couple of documentaries on this, from the special effects to everything else, and they're pretty forgiving. They say that it's more forgiving to do something in an old-timey feel, and they can expand everything out rather than pushing more money into special effects and making it that kind of stuff. They've worked to the budget they had, and they've done it very well.
It's a budgetary constraint. Yeah. I think that then you work around it, you know. Otherwise, this would have, even if you were to shoot it in color, it would have been like kind of muted, you know, like a very simple palette. But I think it's because of the hardware that we're using as well.
Yeah, it's a 1080p. Yeah, it's a 1080p camera.
Yeah. So you have to do that.
Also, because of the way that it was filmed, was also that thing that they started, like, again, it's a very small budget, but they did, the reason why it was 2 winters was because, so they scraped together what they could, was very little. I can't remember like exactly how many beaver suits they had. I think it was 6.
6 beaver suits.
Yeah. But they didn't have 6 beaver suits for the whole shoot, so they had to go out and do like a little bit to begin with. So they were like working on these constraints, and then obviously they don't just get rid of that footage or redo it, but they just like build on it, get a couple more beaver suits, and then they kept going for there. But the constraints of the primary budget on the first winter of shooting was escapingly small. The vast majority of the budget actually came after they could show to investors what the fuck does the Revenant being funny look like.
Yeah. And they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. There's a painting by there's so many homages here, but there's a painting by Cassius Marcellus that is a very famous painting of dogs playing poker.
Yeah.
And there's did I steal this one from you as well, Steve?
No, but it's a nibble. Yeah,
it's a nibble. Okay,
it's a nibble.
But that entire sequence, really, the punchline is they go from playing poker to the guy playing solitaire.
Yeah.
And that's not the best thing about the dogs. The best thing about the dogs is their outfit, because they're wearing bondage gear. Oh man.
All right, so we've got to say that all those costumes were bought online. They cost $10,000, which isn't a lot, but it's quite a lot of money to spend on some costumes. But I think there was only one wolf.
Yep,
there was only one wolf.
I have a question for Steve, all right? Because it's probably on his notes. Now, Steve, you're the big Star Wars head here. There are 2 big tributes to Star Wars in this. You want to go with the first one?
Well, the Death Star, which is the first one. So that's technically what the raid on the Beaver Dam is.
Right.
And I'm not sure about the second one. It could,
kidding.
Hoth.
No.
What?
It's the speeder chase.
The speeder chase. Yeah.
But that's
not
shame on you.
Yeah,
all right, shame
I
on
knew
you
it.
for this.
I was just.
And the second one is the language that all of a sudden we hear from the Beavers sounds a hell of a lot like Ewokies. It really does. And man, another one of the best characters in this is the inaptitude of the appointed lawyer.
Yeah. Simply falls over straight as he comes out.
Even
he's being fucking heckled by the jury. They're giving him 0.
Even the made-up story by the prosecution is amazing.
It is.
It's great.
It is.
I've got. So shall we talk about? Like, this is so hard. I was going to say, let's talk about our favorite. There's so many good bits. Because you guys were talking about the first bit, and him trying to catch a rabbit was brilliant.
It was great.
And all the responses to rabbit. That scene where it's like he made 2 female rabbits, and the rabbits kind of like walk past him.
The gay rabbits?
And they're holding each other's hands like we're already taking it, doesn't matter. And just carry on. Things like those little tiny stupid duck jokes.
The phallic nature of the big carrot.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Absolutely great.
Which he then like tries to push down the hill only to fall down a tunnel that ends up... This is one of the stupidest films ever written. and yet it is that level of Looney Tunes, that level of Buster Keaton, that level of Charlie Chaplin that makes it brilliant. There's just so many funny bits. I was flicking through a few photos on IMDb of it, and every photo I flicked past, I was like, oh yeah, that bit, oh yeah. Even at the start where you have the big musical moment and everything gets destroyed around him, and it then turns into the middle of winter and his head suddenly pops out with a huge snowy like crown on top of him, and there's like icicles coming out of his nose. It's all brilliant. It's all just so funny.
There's props to the intro as well, because it's the father of Ryland Brickson Cole Tews' father, who did the soundtrack. They're the original song at the beginning of the film.
Nice.
So
very nice.
But then then it's Chris Ryan, the composer, and there was Chris Ryan's sound engineer, but he ran the entire sound through a tape.
Because they wanted the distortion for the violence in particular. I read that somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work out why, because it pays off right at the end. But it's the only joke that kind of fell flat for me, even if we get the payoff, because the punchline is right at the end, is and I don't want Ryland, if he listens to the show, I don't want him to, we adore his movie. Keep doing it, man. We loved it. But
he'll blame it on Mike anyway. He'll blame it on Mike anyway.
Oh, there you go.
He'll just say, "Oh, that wasn't me. That was Mike." So.
No, it's the merchant played by Doug Mancheski. He keeps speeding into this spittoon, and he keeps missing. And he only the speed only hits the spittoon, and we get the reward of the end right on it, right? So that's the punchline. Yep. But it's the only joke that is perpetrated all the way through the movie that didn't do anything for me. It's the only one. The only one. I found the growing relationship between him and the Furrier, Olivia Graves, quite endearing, actually, playful and endearing. And at the end of the day, he does it all for love. He does all of this for love, even because this is it was never kind of a quest for vengeance, because he's not really aware of who did this to him right until the end, and that's not the quest this man is on anymore. Even when he actually refuses to go for the cider, I really like the message of that as well.
Yeah,
it's like, do I go for, or do I keep my eyes on the prize of what I need to do here? But
away from temptation.
Yes. Does the counter, the counter, we see the rolling counter with how many beavers at the end. It keeps rolling right until it fades to black, so we don't know how many beavers he actually brought to the merchant at the end.
Definitely in the 400s mark.
Yeah, but it keeps rolling.
Yeah.
So it's
How
hundreds.
did you feel about the weird but totally in taste of the rest of the film reveal that the master trapper was a beaver?
Oh,
I don't think it was a beaver. I think that's the scary part. That's like the slasher bit of the movie, in which it's revealed that the beavers are used his hide as a costume. And you're next. That's the thing, right? That's why they've got cutting lines and everything. They were going to make like a suit out of him. Yeah, because that's what I picked up from it. I actually really like the heroic kind of qualities of the Master Fur Trapper. I like the way he steps back from the proposition of marrying the merchant's daughter.
He's just freaked out. He's just like,
but it's several steps backwards. It's very Family Guy. It's like, yeah. This was a funny movie. I kept hearing about it. At some point, I was going to do it, but thank you, Leyla, for pulling the trigger on this.
Oh, you're welcome.
You actually proposed 3 movies for this podcast to choose from. Do you remember where they were?
Yes, I do. I was sort of like going for something that was sort of like different genres, different styles, also different connections I have with films. So obviously we picked Hundreds of Beavers. For me, that's because that's that indie film where I'm like, I want people to know about this also because, it's an unusual experience. It's great. It's a communal experience, but there's so many details you can also enjoy on your own. So it's that thing. It's a party movie. You can have some beers. You can go to a cinema and laugh your ass off with 100 people. You can also sit at home and just smile about all the details. Then I suggested Aliens because it's my favorite film of all time. I snuck up and watched it when I was 5 years old. I'm sure that has absolutely no bearing on the person I am today. But it's like that movie just means so much to me also because, it's just my favorite film. And people always like, oh, so you don't like Alien? And I always say, it's like, well, you can't have aliens without aliens. So I always watch them as one big piece. But Aliens is like the payoff. Also, obviously, with what happened with that franchise after. And then the final one I picked was Twilight of the Warriors Walled In, which was... I think the highest grossing film in Hong Kong last year. It's been immensely successful. They're still doing press circuits now because it's going to Japan and everything. And what I loved about that film was that it was that thing, like it was such a love letter to Hong Kong cinema and Hong Kong action cinema, which is something I really, really love. But it was also this film where it's like, it's an action film, but there's heart at the center of it. The central message is like, there's action. It's extremely well choreographed. And it's a well-realized film. It's got, this sort of operatic style that you see in a lot of Hong Kong and mainland Chinese film, obviously because of the history of entertainment. But it was like, it's a cool action film and a triad film. But at the heart of it is like the community that the main character finds. And that's what I found so endearing. Plus also that it's an adaptation of manhwa. It's basically a superhero movie. But it's so tactile. So that was my favorite film just because I enjoyed watching it last year. So but it's something different. And I feel like they just touch on different things I enjoy about film.
Considering how fondly you're speaking of this movie, if we put it on the schedule, you're coming back for it.
I'm all over it. I'm such a nerd about it. So yeah, and there's 2 more movies coming on that one.
Ricky, where do we go from here? Because we're getting close to.
He's reading movies.
Who didn't like
Spader?
Who didn't
Mr.
like?
Spader.
Why, hi, how's it going? Who didn't like this film? The person who didn't like this film said, you've got to be kidding. This was an utterly ridiculous movie that had no redeeming features. I gave up watching it about 40 minutes in. It was so bad. The good points, none. The bad points, the acting, the direction, the story, filmed in glorious black and white, and the list goes on. Thank you, Sidenik, April 25th, 2024.
Name.
No, seriously.
What's his username?
The username is SDNXWXH2, but I've got one more. Thank you also, Henry7227. This is not a kid's movie. I thought that this was a kid's movie at first. I had no intention of watching it. I made it 12 minutes and I could not take it anymore. I still didn't know what was going on. It looked like a movie made by stoners for stoners. It definitely was not a movie for kids. There were some scenes that could be considered violent. If you want to veg out in front of a screen for a while and turn your brain off, this is definitely for you. If you want at least a little bit of content, then go elsewhere. Thank you, Henry7227, April 17th, 2024.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Do we have a 10
by
out
the
of
way,
10?
both of those were 1 out of 10s. Thank you, James Spader. Yeah, don't worry about it.
I want to see this fucking guy's dating profile.
Should I click on it? I'm going to click on it. I'm going to see Henry
No,
7227. Oh, he's done 17 reviews. Nice.
Please leave it. Leave it for. I heard an app from whatever. He sounds like a virulent strain. His username.
Oh, he's reviewed The Acolyte as well, which is not hard to review a movie that in a TV series that everyone hates. So
No, it's easy to do from your mother's basement. Now, are we getting into ratings territory, people? Because the more we talk about this movie, the more we spoil this experience for other people.
Yep.
Now, one question to ask: can we collectively recommend this movie to absolutely everyone?
I can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I would recommend it to absolutely everyone, but I also know portion of the people that, let's say, I work with or that I know that would not get this movie.
Tell them Kevin Hart is in it. Tell them Kevin Hart is in this movie.
I should do.
Tell them Kevin James. Kevin James is in this movie.
Or I should say, like, it's about, like, conspiracy and how, like, you know, the American government is taking children to get their adrenochrome. You know, that's what this movie's about. Yeah, then Beavers as well.
Because that's canon.
Oh, I've got one favorite costume.
Which one?
My favorite costume is when he knocks out a beaver to enter the stronghold, and it's the weird dead beaver costume.
That's great.
That's another action piece that it's like straight up video game, man. When you have to wait with the straight up platformer, like with the currents. And yet he has to play with the currents, and it's such a love letter to it, dude. Even the bit there's a little bit of a tribute to Metal Gear as well, when the two cards kind of respond to him being seen. It's just fucking so good. Yes.
Yeah. I think you're right though, because this is such a a love fest to so many good slapstick comedies from way back when. You can't really describe things in it. You have to see it. You have to see the composition, and you have to see just all the little bits, like the background and everything. Like going through the stronghold, it took me a while to realize what the guards were standing in front of, or what the how the shutters would like come down a little bit, and you'd be like, "Oh, I see it now. Oh, look at that! There. Little things like that, yeah.
His reaction when he knows that he fucked everything up inside the tent, and all of a sudden it's the final act of the movie. But it literally did not mean to do that. That's the idea. But he destroyed their plans, which, by the way, we don't know what their plans were. Was this space exploration, or was it a missile? I think it was space exploration. It looks like it was space exploration.
It was, and because again, like one of these events that they're currently doing. By the way, if you get the chance, because they do these all over, but if you get the chance to go and see them do a live introduction, there will potentially be a Q&A, but it's like not your average Q&A, because, for example, with the whole space program, that was a space program.
There you go.
And someone in all earnestness asked Ryland, so what was the reason for Beavers having a space program? Was there deeper meaning? He was just like, no. It just seems like something Beavers might do because it's an industrious animal. And that was where it came from that. And again, also with James Spader, who was kind enough to read us one of these negative reviews, where they said that this is a movie, by stoners for stoners. It's very much well known and also well explained by Ryland that they're just a bunch of drunks who likes movies, and they just want to have fun. Which is also underlined by that on like the Blu-ray commentary, you can there's a selection of different commentaries where they're different stages of drunk. so that again, I feel like that's probably part of the recommendation if you want to pass it on to someone, because it doesn't matter what movie it is, there's also going to be at least one person who hates it and at least one person who loves it. It doesn't matter what the general consensus is.
I don't know, man. I see myself not ever speaking again to someone that doesn't like this movie.
I mean, I will judge someone if they don't like this movie, because to me it's just like someone saying, I don't like fun. I hate joy. That's what
I
it
hate
means.
to say this. I don't think Mary would enjoy this movie.
No. But the thing
We'll
is,
make an exception for Mari.
But
I think you're wrong, man. I think you're wrong here. We'll see. I don't know.
One thing Sally said about this movie while we were watching it was that we're going to talk about the horse again. But she was like, is that Sean Gunn? Is Sean Gunn making an appearance? The guy with the face in front of the horse. It does look a little Sean Gunny.
But it's, what I tried to articulate earlier, which is the expression that I picked up here, like the emotion that I picked up from his expression is, why the fuck did I agree to do this? Because I could have covered his face. No. Yeah. Also, you mentioned the Native American trapper. It's fantastically played. I love the fact that they share the peace pipe and it's like, we're getting stoned now? Yeah, we are.
yeah.
And also, like, it's kind of, they have this relationship that was akin to the relationship of the main protagonist in Dead Man and Native American in that as well. What was his name?
Why do you keep doing this to us, man? Okay, fine. Dead Man. All right, Dead Man is fine. Okay. Are we talking about what? Nobody? Gary Farmer as Nobody?
Yeah. Okay. So he calls Johnny Depp's character.
He calls Johnny William Blake.
William Blake.
Yeah, because Johnny Depp. Yeah, and Robert Mitchum's playing John Dickinson. Yeah.
Okay. But
good segue.
Good segue, yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you. Well, anytime for Mitchum, really. Man, I think it's ratings time. Ricky, you want to go first?
Sure. There was only as much as I love this film, and I am going to hunt down Lake Michigan Monster straight after this.
Yeah, 2018. That's his previous movie, right? We need to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole, I know everything was setting up for everything, but the bit that I found a little bit slow was the initial creating of the map thing, and then he went through the circle again, and I get it, it's very akin to something like Zelda, which I can happily play over and over again, even though I'm visiting the same areas.
Early Final Fantasy as well.
It's like visiting the same places over and over again. That was the only slow bit for me. And because that was the only slow bit for me, and because I watched this at home with only one other person, I'm sure if I first saw this in the cinema, I'd be giving this higher than what I'm about to give it. But I would give this an 8.7 wooden carrots. Used to catch rabbits.
Bastard.
8.7 wooden carrots used to catch rabbits, especially horny, of the same sexual preference type, out of 10.
Cool. Leyla.
So for me, obviously, because my experience with this and like generally like from, because I try to look at things both for my own enjoyment and I look at things also as a film critic, because whenever I review something, I always go into it thinking like, there's people going to love this, people going to hate this. What you never do is that, what you never do is that you just make it hinge on the audience experience and everything else. But when I look at it both as like my personal enjoyment, that's, on a very high scale, but also when looking at just with the achievement and just with how well it works, in spite of the constraints and the things that very easily could not have worked, just comical timing and everything else. And I think it's one of the best comedies that's come out in very many years. Also because it is unique and it does something interesting with the comedy format. And there's all that texture and there's all those layers. For me, it was just one of those, because I watch a lot of movies. I probably watch 150 new movies every year. And I'm even on the low end of that, I know. But the thing is, like, when I sit and I watch it, I like when I go in and watch a movie, whether I'm being commissioned to do it or if I'm doing it for my own enjoyment. What I like to do is just like, I like to just sit with the movie and just let the movie be its own thing and sort of wash over me. And with this, it's like, I do agree that there is some patience to get into it and see if it's for you. Because if you will start watching this and you're like, this movie is not for me, I get that. But I like to sit with it. And if you do get through that bit, which I don't think drags on too far because there's intrigue, like, about what's going on. So I think it builds up very well. But I also am aware that I watch things in a way where I'm just allowing it to sort of like present itself and then I'll make an opinion during and after. But for me, combined with my personal experience, with the general feedback I get from when I recommend it to people, and just enjoy hearing people generally having an overwhelmingly good time with it, for me it is 11 out of 10 derpy horse costumes.
Okay.
For me, I really enjoyed the movie. It's not for everybody, but I can say that. I can definitely say that because I know that sitting down with Mary to watch this movie would not have happened. She would have walked off after the first 10 minutes. But for me, after those first 10 minutes and then the gradual Adventure Time style kind of narrative of the main protagonist, but not just that, also the comic book style or animated style of the mascots. Let's just say that they're mascots.
They are mascots.
It's amazing. I mean, I really enjoyed getting to see the different behaviors on those characters, whether dead or alive. And the fact that they're introducing it from a perspective that is a human being doing human things, technically, but in the mascot disguise, just reminds me of the early black and white Bugs Bunny or anything like that.
There's a lot of Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes.
I mean, the lettering spelling
It's
Acme is at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. And I'm going to give it 8. And I'm going to give it 8 cider barrels rolling down hills.
That's very
nice.
nice.
You go. That's it.
Very nice.
It's definitely something I'll watch again.
This was, like I said earlier, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I had to keep an open mind because the first 10 minutes I think are quite challenging. And I don't disagree with your comment earlier, Steve. I think this movie is for everyone. And I think you can ease someone by reassuring them. It's like, just sit for 10 minutes. Because I think that ticket will be placed right in your hand. And then you enter this world. It's a movie that doesn't have any dialogue. And yet again, there's a language that we learn as we enter it. It's, I think that there's so many mediums that kind of ease you into this world as well. You know, there's rotoscoping here, there's animation, there's puppetry, there's a kinetic energy that is conveyed to us as the viewer via the means of comedy. You know, everything is comedic and whimsical, but there's particularly for our generation. I asked a question when we were doing the sound test to Leyla today. You know, I'm old school. I don't feel comfortable in asking a lady for her age, but I said, look, can you tell me which generation you think you belong to? Because I think this movie in particular straddles... There's nostalgia that it's kind of peppered throughout it, but it's not even nostalgia. I almost got melancholic about a time that is gone. And here's the kicker, that's quite meta to feel that emotion, because this movie is an anomaly in today's world. This is a movie that got global distribution. It was made for, not even in the age of Miramax. This is how Clerks was made, man. And it's good. It's good that this generation, I hope that, and this should be shown in schools. Every film school should show this movie. Because at the end of the day, again, it is a business. So if I show you that you can be as creative as you want and get returns so that you can enter the industry, that's magic. This movie manages to be whimsical at the same time. Obviously, the creative force behind it had to use their own life experience, and it's imbued throughout the movie. So this kid grew up on platformers. He grew up on video games. He grew up watching black and white movies with his grandmother and his grandfather, for sure. For sure. And it's also not common these days to have something that is slapstick and it's, you know, joke a minute, but has a lot of heart. There's a ton of heart here. And it's also not pandering. Any moralistic kind of... it's the moral compass that it's pointing towards good. Chaotic good. You know what I mean? Like, there's a girl there's a girl stripping on a pole, and yet I would feel comfortable in showing this to children. I don't have kids, but it's not... Even the sexual kind of undertones of certain things are so harmless. They're so genuine that it's, you know, there's one sequence in this that we didn't talk about, how you get the 2 baby rabbits, and he gives them that look like, well, I'm hungry, man. You're coming with me, but I'm not fostering you. You're coming into my tummy. It's it was a pleasant experience. So all I need to do, if I sit someone in front of this movie, I'll tell them, please be patient for 10 minutes. Or I'll take the other way, which is shut the fuck up, just sit down for 10 minutes, all right? Give it a chance.
Here's a drink.
Yeah, here's a drink. Here's a shot of castor oil. So what am I giving this movie? I am giving this movie an 8.5 shots of castor oil.
Nice.
All right. And on that note, this was Umba.
This is Ricky.
This is Steve.
And this is Leyla.
Woo! Bye!
J'accuse.
Jacques. But yeah.